Welcome to this week's marketing lesson. I've split the lesson into 2 lessons and 2 workshops, as there's quite a bit we have to go through today. And then you also have a variety of exercises, also workshops to do while you're doing the lesson or listening to the lesson, to break it up a bit more as well. What I have planned for today is, first of all, we will be talking about market research and data and information collection. And then the second part is competitor analysis, and then marketing and environmental analysis, where you will be talking about quite a few of the theories that are out there and that have to do with marketing as well. Now, let's start with the principle of market research. The agenda for today is typical research and data requirements. Then we talk about market or marketing research, the research process. I then have a workshop for you to do, and we will then talk about data sources as well. Now, the marketing planning process is important so that you know how to market your products or services. So you have to conduct audits, analysis of your market. Very often you make assumptions of who your market is, what they want, what their needs are, what their motivations are. Some of it, yeah, it's right, but some of your assumptions, once you do the market research, you might find out that actually your consumers want something completely different, or they buy in a completely different way. Obviously, you've got a mission statement, so there are certain things in there what you want to achieve, and as part of your marketing mission is in there as well. You've got your objectives, again, what you want to, how do you want to achieve your mission. There's a certain segment you are targeting, and you have positioned yourself in a certain area in the market as well. So if you think about Travelodge, you've got the budget market. If you think about someone like the Shangri-La or Marriott, Hilton, Hyatt, they've got the luxury markets, and obviously you've got bed and breakfast and other people there as well. You then have to come up with a strategy on how to market. You can't just come up with any strategy. You have to have, obviously, sort of an idea of how you're going to approach this whole thing. You then put together your marketing mix, who to approach, how to approach them, who's your competitors, what are they doing, how do you want to get your product or service to your target audience. You then implement, obviously, your marketing plan, your marketing strategy as well, and you have to monitor and control it, because the market changes, and so your actions have to change there as well. In order to obviously come up with this, you have to do a bit of market research. And just for a few definitions here, market research is the collection, analysis and communication of information undertaken to assist decision making in marketing. This is vital, because otherwise you might come up with a marketing campaign and it completely flops. And I'm sure we've all seen campaigns that don't really work, that have misled the customers, and where customers either turned away or the marketing campaign wasn't able to run anymore. The other one is a systematic and objective collection, analysis and evaluation of information about specific aspects of marketing problems. So this means that the marketing management, the marketing team can make appropriate decisions and the right decisions with regards to how to market products and services. So if you look at your marketing team within Travelodge, I'm sure there's a certain way how they market your product and your services to the general public and who they are targeting as well. Now, marketing research provides information to aid the marketing decisions, as I said before. This is the outcome of, what are your competitors doing, what do your customers want, what are your customers using, how are your customers behaving. It collects and analyzes information. Makes sense, otherwise you can't make a decision. And I'm not going to tell you too much about where you get your information from, as this is part of your workshop you're going to do later. It communicates and disseminates information, so obviously the information you get from your market research needs to be communicated to the decision makers and to the people who start coming up with a marketing campaign. then it also reduces risks, because you go from maybe not really knowing who your competitors are, who your market is, how they behave, how they buy, where they are, where they come from, to then hopefully knowing all of these things by doing research, which is the whole point of this. And if we look at the figures for the UK, for example, the UK spends per year £1 billion on market research. And it is the highest spend on research in Europe, and it's equal to all the research in the Asian Pacific area put together, and it's twice as much as Japan. And this shows you that the UK, and I think we know this a lot, we want to know what our customers think, who they are, what their needs are, so that we can actually market our products and services accordingly to them. Now, what do you need, and what are the data requirements for market research? There are 5 points you have to sort of go through. The first one is market analysis. Well, know your market, know your competitors, otherwise pointless. You need to know your market size, you need to know what's your profitability, how profitable is the market, what are the growth trends, what's going on in the market at the moment, how dynamic is the market, is it a buyer's market as well, is it a, so how does the market work, what are the main products in the market, who are the competitors, and what are their market share, do they offer the same product but to different customers, do they offer a different product to your customers, what do they do, where do they position themselves as well. Customer attitudes and buying behaviors, how do they hear about you, do they surf the internet, do they buy their bed night straight from your website, do they go via another website, what do they think about you as well, what do they think about your hotels, what do they think about the product you're offering, and are they people who stay for longer, are they people who just stay for one night, are they business travelers, leisure, so again, who is it? Know your customer, basically, that's what you need to know. You need to know your customer, you need to know your competitors. And then of course the distribution patterns and marketing strategies. So what strategies are out there, how are your competitors selling their products, how are they distributing their products and services, and do they have any special offers, any rates, so what's going on in the market at the moment is all part of your market analysis. Now the second bit is you need to do the product research, and then is there a gap between the current product and the perception, what do we offer and how do your customers and your competitors see it, what do they make of your product, is your product great and the people think it's great, do the competitors feel threatened by you, or do you think your product is great but your customers constantly give you bad reviews. Then this then leads into the satisfaction level and the trends. Is the budget hotel market, is it still growing? What are the trends within the market? Do you have to offer other services apart from maybe just you're giving them a bed and a shower for the evening? What else do you have to give them? Supplementary services there as well. What are your customers looking for, and what are your competitors' trends as well? The current usability again comes all about do people actually use budget hotels? Do people use your product? Do you have to maybe slightly amend it? Do you have to come up with a new product because the old one is outdated? Which then comes into the new product development opportunities. And if you think about people like Apple, they always come up with new products. You've got the iPod, you've got iPhone, iPad, then you've got different variations of the iPhones, you've got different variations soon probably about the iPad as well. They've got different laptops. So what new opportunities are there that you can actually develop something either supplementary for your product, or is there anything, or service, or is there a new service that you can actually develop? Then the third aspect is the pricing decisions, where you look at what are your competitors doing. Are you offering higher or lower prices, or are you offering about the same thing as your competitors? And again, your consumer attitudes to the price. So how do they perceive it, and how sensitive are they towards your price? Which basically means, what would they expect to pay within your market segment, and what would they be prepared to pay? So they might expect to pay, you know, £20, but they might be prepared to pay £30 or £40 because you have a really good product or service there. Again, it all comes to how do you market it, how do you sell it. I would, for example, if I bought a laptop, I would pay £1,000 for an Apple Mac, because I know that there are no viruses there, they don't crash as easily as PCs. You know, so I would expect to pay that, and I would probably be prepared to pay a bit more just to get some of the other products and programs on that Apple Mac laptop as well. Then the next research and data requirement you need is about advertising and promotion. So the demographics of your users. Who are your users? Are they young adults? Are they retired couples? Are they singles? Where do they come? Are they from the UK? Are they abroad? Are they international? Are they a mix? Are they a mix of everyone? Are they business travelers? Are they leisure travelers? Who are they? Who do you want to aim your campaign at? Because not everything works for the same. Not every campaign works for the same demographic. Then you've got your profiles within these segments as well. Again, you know, this comes all under you know, what's the culture, religion, stuff like that. So there are again different aspects there as well. Behavior and attitudes of different segments. So again, different segments have different buying behaviors. I think we all start to use the internet more, especially if you are, you know, the younger age group. Maybe some of the older generations, they're still a bit scared of, you know, buying holidays on the internet, booking hotels on the internet, flights. Maybe they're not as internet savvy as we maybe are. So, you know, so what's their attitude towards online buying, for example, and what's their behavior? Do they rather go to a travel agent? And then again, the language used by customers when they talk about your product. What do they talk about? Do they talk about the great prices, the comfortable beds, or do they talk about the view they had out of the window when they were staying within one of your hotels, for example? So you need to know what is it when they then talk to their friends, they talk about, because this is what you then have to mirror in your advertising and promotion campaigns as well. Because if they can't identify with it, or if they can't identify your product with what you're presenting to them in your campaigns, they're not going to buy it. So again, it's something very important you have to find out, and don't overcomplicate it as well. And then the last one is levels of awareness as well. So how aware are they of your brand? Do they know you are there? And how aware, you know, do they maybe know who your competitors are? And, you know, who would they choose as well? And then the fifth point is the sales decisions. So it's all about territories, statistics, forecasts, incentives. You know, what do you get when you buy the product? Do you get free Wi-Fi when you stay in one of the travel hotels, for example? Do you, you know, get 2 nights, get the third night for free? Things like that. Airport pickup, whatever. Anything you get extra as well. Where do you sell your product, you know, or your service? Where do you promote it, and how efficiently do you promote it as well? And obviously, you then have to look at your statistics there as well. And you have to come up with forecasts. Forecasts in any business are very important. Okay, now I'd just like to go into the application of market research, or for market research. You need to, as we said, analyze your market. You need to find out your key customer requirements. What do they want? Then the key attributes, sort by customers and how important they rank them. So, you know, if you again look at your hotel, you know, your hotels, what's important? Is it important for them that they just get somewhere to put their head down before they fly off somewhere, or, you know, after coming back from a conference? Is it important to them that they get free Wi-Fi maybe? Is it important to them that they've got breakfast included? Is it important to them that, or is it just important to them that they get a quick check-in, have somewhere to sleep, and then they have a quick check-out the next day? So these are the things, you know, and then again, how important do they rank them as well? So you need to look at what you're offering and, you know, ask your customers what's the importance for these things that we offer, and what is the most and what's the least important thing for you. Just gauge, you know, where you're standing as well, if you're actually targeting or applying the right thing. Now, and what you then have to do is you have to make decisions on your marketing mix, and this means, do you have to develop a new product or a new service? Do you have to make a decision on pricing, and how do you set your prices? Do you have to make new prices, leave them, higher, lower, things like that? You have to make promotion and advertising decisions, place and distribution decisions, and also a selection of brand names and packaging. And this is very, very difficult. Very often you have to think about brands and how do you brand yourself, and how do you brand yourself in a way that people actually recognize your brand as well, because you need to stand out, especially nowadays where the market is very, very competitive. You then also need to talk about your service support and complaint handling decisions. You know, how do you do that? It's all about customer service, word of mouth, and nowadays social networks are the worst, or are the worst or the best marketing tool. If someone didn't like something, they let everyone else know. Is it, you know, or it might be via Facebook, it might be via Twitter, it might be still with a traditional form, word of mouth. And if you tell one person, that one person tells another two people, and those other two people tell another two people as well. That if someone didn't like something very, very bad, and word of mouth, or if you think about Twitter, there's a lot of a lot of things have been going on there where either the service recovery wasn't very good or was very good. And what I would suggest is that you look up Kevin Smith and Southwest Airlines on Google or on Wikipedia, which I know you're not supposed to use, but for this it's very good. And see what he did when Southwest actually kicked him off a plane because he was occupying 2 seats on their planes, and how this then went on and on and on. So it's quite an interesting story. And then obviously you also need to look at your current performance versus your expected performance. Are you performing how you want to perform, or could you be performing much better? Okay, now the market research process is obviously you have to identify and define your problems, but also your opportunities. Now you need then to come up with your research needs. What do you want to research? What do you want to find out? You need to set a research brief, and obviously set your aim and your objectives there, because just doing that without just doing research without knowing what to do is useless, and I'm sure you know that from your writing your assignments as well. Who's going to do your research? It's normally better if someone outside your company does the research, because you need objective data. So they choose the people, and they don't have anything to do with your company or the service that's being provided, so they can actually be objective as well. You need to create a research design, choice of method. How do you conduct your research? Again, I'm not going into this because this is for the workshop. Develop your research plan. You need need to collect secondary data, and then you need to collect primary data. You need to analyze this data, because otherwise what's the point of collecting all this data? And we can go into this a bit more after the workshop. And obviously you need to present your research findings to your marketing people, to your decision makers, and also come up with a set of recommendations. And what next? What can we do now? How can we approach this? Now, I think it's time for you to do a bit of a workshop, and I would like you, before you go to the next part, to the next set of slides, just think back to the market research process and research the following. What secondary data do you need to collect for your market research, and where from? What are the methods to collect primary data? And can you think of any issues with either type of data? Issues are also good and bad things, actually, not just negative aspects. And I have set up a wiki for you. So